So shall we start now first?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nadim. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar organized by TTA, Turkish Thai Association. You say good that brings all Turkish people living in Thailand and epic for different purpose together. So our mission is to connect people with the local and other international communities to enhance our members' experience and bring more value to members' lifestyle, business, and work. Today, we are so delighted to invite Mr. Nadim, the co-founder and managing director of INgenic Solution, to talk about the topic of knowing the unknown. Mr. Nadim will share his rich experience in running his F&B retail business. Now, let's welcome Mr. Nadim.
Thank you, Cotton. Here we go. Good evening, guys. I chose to talk about the subject of knowing the unknown because it's very much related also to the experiences that I had in my life, and I'm sure some of the experiences you went through as well. So, and I want to start here with what Donald Rumsfeld said, in response to a question about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The press asked him the question, and the way he answered is like, there are known knowns. There are things we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know, but there are also unknown unknowns. And the ones we don't know, right? Now, whether the press was confused or not, and he definitely did not invent this concept of known knowns. It became actually his famous line and the title of his memoir, which he calls Known and Unknown. And the unknown knowns is a fourth concept that Rumsfeld actually defined as the things that you think you know that it turns out you did not. So how can these four concepts that Rumsfeld actually, he did apply it to national security intelligence, also could apply to marketing intelligence. And I found out the hard way that it does, and it is very interesting. So let's have a look, right? And we start with the known unknowns, right? So I will talk a little bit about the known and the unknowns, and then I want to get into some case study just to share with you some of the experiences I had, which is somehow related to the known unknowns as well. So when you talk about known knowns, this is really the first step to marketing intelligence, is really knowing what you have. I mean, in my business, I advise and I consult with people. And the first question that I ask when I get into a company, and I ask, do you know your customers? Do you know your marketing intelligence? Do you know your market segmentation, who your customer are? And you would be surprised. It's such a simple question, but actually many people are not able to answer me this question. Many people are still not sure who their customer are. They just want to go out there and just sell to anybody, which eventually you're gonna be having a bit of a hard time in the future. Now, on the campaign side, you know your impressions, you know your clicks, you spend data for each campaign, ad set, and ad on each media source. But on the attribution side, you know how many installs, in-apps events, leads, or purchases you're getting. So while these facts can help you measure some level of marketing effectiveness, there may be issues getting the data frequently enough to make meaningful decision. And still, these are the facts you know, right? If I move to the known unknowns, knowing what you don't have is important so that you can begin looking for it. You may have an estimation on your return, for example, in your business, in return, what they call ROI, return on investment. But a true picture of the return is one of the most common known unknowns for marketing people. And it requires linking campaign data with attribution data. What I mean by attribution data is used by marketeers like to plan future ad campaign and inform the performance of previous campaign. As an example of a known unknown might be understanding ROI or return by media source for a subscription-based business. Now, without unified data, it's difficult to know the return over a long lifetime, right? And usually when you have customers, it's like, we call it like a lifetime value. An estimate of an average revenue that a customer will generate to your business throughout their lifespan as a customer. This is important as well. So these are known unknowns that actually can be solved with the right tools. And I was looking at the presentation, was it last week? The gentleman who talked about the, what was that again? The
digital transformation.
Yeah, exactly. And so I felt that like it's sort of like necessary to understand your business and to understand your customer and to have the support and the platform and the right tools to be able to support you on that. In the next slide, we talk about unknown unknowns, and actually unknown unknowns are marketing intelligence that are benefits you could see by understanding the return more closely. And they are the question you may not be thinking about off the top of your head, but can answer with the right tool as well. So consider these questions, right? How effective is my creative work? Right? If you knew when a target audience has seen the same creative too many times, well, you would achieve greater return simply by changing the old ads to the new one. Another question is, are my offer like optimal on this media source, right? And it says, again, closer return insights would allow you to see or to set your offers and your promotion higher or lower depending on the source. And another question is, am I setting the best budget to maximize the delivery, right? So setting optimal budget and making sure you spend it evenly and tracking it to provide better ROI. I always recommend when we look at like marketing budget is really understanding whatever budget you put on. It's not anymore like we need a budget now just to bring in people into our stores, but we need the budget and how much return are we going to get on the marketing that we are going to invest in our stores or on whatever it is, right? This is a little bit of a graph that I wanted to show you that tells you a little bit the known unknowns, the unknown unknowns, the known knowns, and the unknown knowns. Sounds funny, but it is something that you can really use in your marketing activities. And the last one about unknown knowns is an unknown knowns is data you think you know, but actually you don't. Sounds like fraud. It sounds like being cheated. Now, how can you actually know how much you are wasting on fraud? How many of those new clicks, for example, installs and conversion are actually fake? There is a lot of fake happening on the web as well. Do you have real users with stolen attribution or stolen credit? Now, classic metrics may indicate you're doing well, but you really have wasted spending on faked clicks. There's a lot of people who say, oh, I had so many clicks, so many views, like 50,000, but maybe half of them are kind of fake. So there's nothing worse than optimizing based on metrics that are being manipulated, right? So the big opportunities is very much in the unknown unknowns. Why? Because look, intelligence is exciting. There's a big difference between working in a national security intelligence like the CIA or whatever it is, and marketing intelligence. But successful intelligence workers, they share a common traits. They are excited about the unknown. I'm sure you've seen the movie Star Trek, and the movie Star Trek, they always go to the unknown without knowing what they are going to discover next. But it is exciting for them to keep going where no man has gone before, right? That's why it became so popular, right? They know that things they thought to be true are often not. They can approach every day without assumptions and make new discoveries. Eventually, the unknowns become known. And there are deeper, more interesting unknowns to unpack. Not only is marketing intelligence an adventure, but it's a lot less risky than searching for weapon of mass destruction, as the press were asking Donald Rumsfeld. So, good evening again, and my name is Nadim Salhani, and I'm originally from Lebanon, but Thailand has been my home for more than 40 years. I came to Thailand when I was 15 years old because of the civil war back home. And I put this picture about, I'm sure you know, or you must have seen the series, The Squid Games. And I look at the adventures in my life since I left Lebanon during the war, that it was pretty much a Squid Game and pretty much a discovery of the unknowns as far as I'm concerned. I came to Thailand because my father was here. 40 years ago, my father was in the hotel business. And actually, I came here to spend a few months with my dad that I haven't seen for many, many years. And because I'm French educated, I was supposed to go to France to continue my studies, but I never went. I sort of liked what I saw here in Thailand, and I decided to just continue and staying here and start, discovering things in my life. And I moved from hotel business to retail business, right? But let me show you one of my last hotels. Actually, I was in the hotel business for nearly 20 years, and I've traveled in many different locations. Now, I was a guy who, in Thailand, they call mupun. Mupun means like a hired gun. I was a guy who always they called to go and fix problems, right? Throughout my career, that's all what I have been doing. Whether I was in the hotel business or whether I became in the retail business, I always ended up that I have to go and fix problems, right? And that's the reason why today I'm able to open my consulting company as an advisor to retail business, because with all the experience that I had, with the problems that I had faced, then I am sort of used to now to how fixing these problems. But I'll tell you a couple of stories about that. Now, the hotel business was quite nice. I was able to go in several locations, but again, I was always called to go in these locations that are one of the most difficult. One of them was the Cook Islands. If you ever heard about this country called the Cook Islands, it's in the far South Pacific. It's the first countries that sees the sun rise, or the first country to celebrate the New Year's Eve. And I was there for a couple of years. There was only one hotel on the island, pretty small island. It felt very claustrophobic, and working with Maori people, learning about the culture of the Maori people, and being able to run the business. My last hotel after the Cook Islands, I came here. What you see in front of you is in Krabi. And in Krabi, I was involved in 2 years construction, actually a project management of a hotel called Raya Wadi. It's a very luxurious hotel, a resort, and it's actually in this area. In the picture that you see on the top here, the hotel was right here, and surrounded by 3 beaches. You have one beach, you have another beach, and you have the third beach here. And the resort was just there in the middle. And you see how beautiful the rooms were. But it was one of the most difficult projects I ever had in my life. Why am I saying that? Because this is a project, as you learn wherever you go around the world, one of the most important things is working with people and understanding the culture of the locals. If you are not ready to do that, then you are not made for this kind of life. And in Krabi, I had to deal, first of all, with the locals, the Muslim community over there, which there was a community which is very sensitive about things. So we had to be, again, building relationship with them and knowing how to deal with them. We had to deal with backpackers. This was like a backpacker paradise. We had to deal with our customer. We were a luxurious hotel that was like about nearly 20 or 25 years ago. We were charging rates at more than 10,000 baht per room, or some 30,000 baht per room. And you had all like the creme de la creme people from around the world coming to this hotel, to this resort. And I had to deal also with the monkeys population who was there before even human came in, who lived in the rocks and in the cars. So how to balance and keep harmony. I forgot to tell you, besides the customer and besides the locals and the backpackers and the monkeys, well, we had to live also with the spirits over there. It was very strong. There were very, very strong spirits. As you know, in Thailand, it's quite famous for that. But I had to deal with the spirits as well. So it was a 5-year assignment that really took out my energy and my passion to work in hotels. And I decided after 5 years, I decided that that's it. I'm not going to work in hotels anymore. But it was actually a nice journey of 5 years. Every morning when I woke up, it was beautiful, like a paradise. And I said, I'm so lucky to be here. But then every evening before I went to bed, I said, I'm just looking forward to get out of this place. And the morning we started again, right? Now, when I moved out from this hotel, I was the first general manager who brought Starbucks to Thailand, right? And Starbucks was a very new experience for me because it was a brand, in a hotel business, you are only stuck in the hotel. But as you move out of the hotel business, you work into retail. Retail is a business that you have many stores that you have to deal with. It's not only one location that you are able to control, but you're dealing with so many different locations in the retail business. And retail is a very much detailed business. And I was very fortunate to be one of the first general manager of a Starbucks franchise. As Starbucks was developing around the world, they started developing in Asia before they go to Europe, because they knew that the coffee culture in Asia would have been easier for them than to go to Europe, obviously, because in Europe, the coffee culture is very strong over there. And that was the right move for them as Starbucks. So Starbucks was about 6 years. I was in Seattle for about 3 months to learn everything about the business, came back to Thailand and opened the first 40 stores. But then I got bored with Starbucks. I got bored because everything was set by the head office, by the head company in the US. I mean, I shouldn't complain. I mean, everything was set, everything was perfect. But the problem is, because I'm an entrepreneur, I wasn't able to come up with things on my own. It's like you have to follow the rules. You have to follow whatever they say. Even if the press wants to come and interview you, you have to send the questions over there to the US. They have to go through it. They have to review it. They write the answer. They send it back to us. And I just have to read the answer. So eventually, even though it was prestigious and I was GM of Starbucks and everybody looked at me like, wow, like, look at this guy. Actually, I was super bored and I decided, like, I need a big challenge. And I got a really big challenge. And this is what I want to talk about today. Is like, I went to a project where you had known unknowns and unknown unknowns. Why? It was a company that was on the verge of bankruptcy. It was a company that was going down. And it wasn't the fault of the owners. It just happened to be right at the time when the Asian economy crisis started, was in like 1996, 97. And the owners of that company, they actually, they did borrowed money from international, from overseas. And you know, the Thai baht devaluated so badly that they nearly went bankrupt. They had really bad, a bad situation, a bad financial situation. We weren't able to pay the suppliers. We were not able to, you know, to pay salaries. It was a really very difficult situation. And but I was very excited about joining them, even though I sort of knew that maybe I wouldn't be able to get my salary at the end of the month. I was still very excited to get there. So what I want to share is this: as I went inside that company, and my wife was very upset with me because she said, "Why are you taking this project? This is crazy. This company is really in a bad situation." And I told her, "I don't know. I really don't know. But this is something that I have to do." Why? I felt really bad for the people who were working there. I went to visit the company and I saw the mood. I felt the mood was really down. I felt for the owners, and I wanted to do some changes and I wanted to help. And the first thing I did, a friend of mine recommended to read that book that I'm showing you on the screen. It's called The 6-Month Fix. And The 6-Month Fix, actually, it's a story about this guy who wrote it, Gary Sutton. What does he do? He just go and rescue failing companies. It's an adventure. And he moves every 6 months. He never stays over 6 months in one company. Every 6 months. And the reason why, and I would recommend you to read it if you have some issues with your business, or you know of somebody who has a business, who has issues with his business and losing a lot of money, well, recommend him to read that book, because he's going to be very motivated, that person, after reading that book. But the 6 months is because Gary Sutton feels that within 6 months, there is no emotion with the people that works in this company. And so after 6 months, you become like, you get to know the people, and you become like, you're not able to be as active as you are, or take action as fast as you want. So, and that's what he does. He takes 6 months, he fixes it up, and then he moved to another company. So I was very, very actually motivated by this company. And I want to talk to you about the Dunkin' company, Dunkin' Donuts company. And you see on this chart here that from 1997 and 98, during the economy crisis, they had a bad situation, and their sales were going down in the red. Were going really, really down, all the way down. Their cost of goods was sort of like okay, but EBITDA, which is very important for a company, was really down, right? Now, I came in 2003, and you can see that 2003 is really the worst. And that was a really survival period. Now, I had to think, and the first executive decision that I made in this company was based on convenience store business. Now, at that time, Dunkin' Donuts they were working with 2,000 convenience stores in Thailand, right? It's one brand. I don't need to mention the brand, and I'm sure you would know what I'm talking about. But at that time, that brand has 2,000 convenience stores in Thailand. Today, they have like 15,000, right? And so what Dunkin' did, I saw that there was a case, and they were promoting the donuts inside the convenience store. Now, I was completely shocked. Now, look, it's nice to have a business in 2,000 convenience store, but this is not our core business. And the deal was not a good deal. Let me show you how was the deal. There was a consignment of 37.5%. There were waste of 50%. Logistic was like 15%. Production 15%, others 10%. Well, if you amount all this, it's more than 100%. So we were losing money. And even though we were selling donuts to the amount of 20 million baht a month, we were losing money. Now, the only people who were making money are the convenience store owners. 37.5% of 20 million baht. That is about $7 million plus baht per month. You get it free. And we are doing all the work, we are doing all the logistics, and we were making zero and we were losing money. So the decision for me was stop the business. And I had a lot of anger and disapproval from the owners, because they said they took so many years to build a relationship with this convenience store company that it's not, we should not do it. And I said, guys, look, you hired me to help you survive and to help you get out of this business. So it's very simple. Please don't waste my time, and you don't have to waste your money. But if you don't do like I'm telling you, then I have nothing to do here. Eventually, they have agreed because the situation of the company was very bad. And I was able to stop that business and able to use the money and the product that we were producing for that business to put it in our own stores, which is our own core business. So that means look after your core business first instead of looking after the business of others and helping them. We were helping them, making a lot of money, and we were losing at the same time a lot of money. So that wasn't good. And that was my first decision to start, that started actually the improvement in the company. Now, the next decision, and this is really, I love to talk about this case study and this product. Our competitor, and there are only two big donut players in Thailand. Our competitor came up with a product, and they decided, because their situation was much better than us, their cash flow was much better than us, but they came up with a product that people really liked, and people were queuing to get the product, right? The thing is with them, and they had money, marketing money. And again, that's what I'm saying here. When you're spending your marketing money, make sure that you're spending it wisely. But in this case, they did not. They spent about 50, 60 million baht on a product name just to promote the name of the product. The name of the product was called Pound the Ring. Pound the Ring has no meaning. What does it mean? It has no meaning. But they wanted people to remember that name. So they spent 50 to 60 million baht just to promote the name. They forgot to promote the brand. And that was a big mistake. Why? Because they gave us an opportunity, first of all, to copy the product. Because, remember, we were in a situation where our cash flow was negative. And, I knew that this product was very, popular, and people wanted that product. And our marketing people came and told me, Nadim, we need to come up with a new product because we need to fight against these guys. And I told the marketing people, you guys are so stupid. I mean, when you have a product that is so popular and there is a big demand in the market, why are you trying to look for a new product? And in our situation, just copy it. Copy it, put it on our shelves, and keep your mouth shut, because the competitor is going to do all the work for us. And eventually they did. Now, Pound the Ring, they did a lot of heavy above the line marketing. They were spending a lot of money on media to promote the name. The price was 13 baht, very successful campaign, queuing everywhere to get the product. Now, we copied exactly the same product, right? We got that was a recipe from Japan. It's a mochi flour. To make it easier, we called it Moji Ring, right? So we copied it, and it was exactly the same thing, right? We called it Moji Ring. We had no marketing budget. The consumer did not differentiate between the two brands because they did not promote the brand. They promoted the name of the product. And to really hit them badly, I decided to charge a price of 15 baht while they charge about 13 baht. So what is that? What does that mean? It means that the customer, first of all, does not differentiate between the two brands. When the customer wants the product, they just go to a donut place because they think that every donut place will have this product. But when they come to Dunkin' and they see that we are more expensive, They will say, hey, wait a minute, Dunkin' has it and the competitor has it, but Dunkin' is selling it at 15 baht while the competitor is 13 baht. So the assumption is that Dunkin' is the one that created it because they are more expensive. And if they are more expensive, it means that the quality is better. So understanding your customer and their needs is extremely important as well. So what happened? My apologies. The results, we had 25% sales growth. We improved our brand awareness, and the consumer assumed that Dunkin' created the original as the price was higher. And the consumer showed that the consumer trusted Dunkin' more than the competitor. Now, whether this was a fluke or not, I mean, that was a very successful campaign. We didn't spend 1 baht on marketing, but then we were able to increase our sales by 25%. And that helped bring the company back onto his feet. As you can see here, the sales in red, the red column, start going up and up and up. Most importantly, the EBITDA, which is the earning before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, are gone up as well. That made it a very successful company. Now, the next, what I want to talk to you about is like during the years of like 2006 throughout 2010, and you know, if you were in Thailand, we had a lot of political instability. We had a lot of issues with the red shirts and the yellow shirts, and it was such a mess around here. But knowing that these were happening and political happening, you know, Thailand is always a place that is predictable, and business eventually was continuing doing well. And we were focusing also on the delivery business before COVID comes in. So we continue doing well. And also we realized that during political instability, a lot of people, they panic. And when they panic, they go to the hypermarkets like Lotus, Tesco, Carrefour at that time, and Big C. And they go because they want to make sure they panic and they want to buy grocery and they want to keep them at home. I mean, they want to, buy a lot of groceries and water and bare necessities because they are afraid that things are going, if things get worse, we won't be able, there will be a shortage of food, a shortage of water. And, in Thailand, people do panic because of this. So on several occasions, and you saw that during COVID, I mean, Macro made a lot of revenue during COVID. I mean, all the hyper businesses, they did so well because people used to go there because they were afraid that there is going to be a shortage of food and water. And so they kept on buying and stocking up in their houses. So we continued, and we have our donut stores in all these hypermarkets. And so as you go and buy your grocery on the way out, you say, hey, let's buy a box or two of donuts. And so the business continued doing well. Now, in 2009, there's a new competitor, international brands. And, Krispy Kreme, as you know. Krispy Kreme made the big news in 2009. And they came in and they opened this giant store at Paragon, as you are aware. And everybody was like waiting, like, wow, Krispy Kreme is gonna come. But wait a minute, Dunkin' Donut has been here for over 30 years. So why aren't we wowing the same thing? But Krispy Kreme, their success is that they have the kitchen inside the store. And the donuts, when they come out hot, well, they melt in the mouth. I was in the donut business for a while, and I know it happens with any donut business. But we do not invest in the equipment in the stores because the equipment is very expensive. And their equipment is sort of like automation. So you can imagine they invest in one store. I must say, in the store that they invested in the Paragon must have cost them 30 million baht because the equipment alone, imported equipment, automation, are very expensive. But it was worth it. It was worth it for the store number one because as if you were in Bangkok, there was a crazy line, crazy queuing. My apologies. absolutely crazy queuing to buy this product. And as you know, in Thailand, people are very creative. And so um, people start setting up stalls in Siam Square opposite the Paragon and selling the Krispy Kreme donuts. So they came in very early when the store just opened. They were waiting since like 3 o'clock in the morning. They buy the product and they set up a little stall and they resell them at a price with a margin, with a margin on top, because there were some people who wanted to buy but did not want to wait queuing. I mean, when you went queuing, you had to wait up to 3 hours to get to the point where you get your donut. Now, creativity became even bigger when these guys decided to print Krispy Kreme boxes and buy donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, because we were talking about the glazed donut, like the picture that you're talking here. And I'm not kidding you. People did not want to wait in line, so they came to Dunkin' to buy the same glazed donut, put it in a box of Krispy Kreme to give as a gift to their friends and tell them, guys, look, I've waited 3 hours. Like that, how good I am of a friend. And I brought you these donuts and I waited for it. So you can imagine our sales at Paragon actually went up 3 times. 3 times it went up because of that situation that people did not want to wait in line. They got sick and tired of waiting in line. Now, what I appreciate is one of the marketing strategy that they had was very smart. As soon as they opened, they hired about like 10 people. They gave them about, 6 boxes of Krispy Kreme in these plastic bags. And they say, all what you have to do is just walk in the mall, walk in the department store, walk around, go everywhere, but walk with about 6 boxes of Krispy Kreme. And you had about 10 people walking. And so, when they were walking next to you, you were looking at it, you say, oh my God, look at this guy. He bought like 6 boxes. He's crazy. But that was marketing strategy. It's like excite the customer, build the awareness by just walking around with a bunch of boxes and just walk around the mall and show the people that, hey, we're buying the Krispy Kreme donuts, right? So that was pretty smart, but it helped our business. Now, Krispy Kreme came to Thailand and made the donut business pie bigger. So everybody who was in the donut business, they did well, because the problem with Krispy Kreme, they only opened 1 store, and it cost them a lot of money, and they opened 1 store for a long time before they started opening other stores. We had 300 stores, right? So people who want to, who as Krispy Kreme, as the trend is going around the town, and they want to eat these glazed donut. The glazed donut was a big thing. Now, I knew that their hero product was the glazed donut. So this is what we did. We came up with a campaign, right? This was their glazed donut. This was our glazed donut, which looks very similar. We came up with a campaign. We call it All American Donuts. And we showed just a simple donut with glaze on the top. Now, I understood that this is what the customer wants. And that should be the base of your marketing campaign, right? We put an American flag because it brought excitement. People look at the American flag, so they thought that, oh, it's an American donut. We put the glaze and we show a beautiful picture of glaze coming down on the donut. And it looked pretty similar. And then we made it very colorful. And again, our sales came up by, again, like I said, 3 times. And our sales went up all over the system because there was this awareness that people wanted to eat more glazed donuts in the market. So that was another successful campaign. The next one you have in 2011 or 2010, there was the floods, and that was really bad floods. And again, you can see our sales of donuts actually are going up. Why? People were panicking again. People went to the hypermarkets. And that's where we have most of our stores. We do actually have this partnership with the hypermarkets that we want to open our stores with them as well. So it was very interesting to see, again, these people going to these hypermarkets, buying, stocking at home, and eventually on the way out, buy a few boxes of donuts as well. So that was a pretty good complaint. But again, what I'm saying is that understand your competitor, understand the customer, and understand their needs. And you will always do very well in your business, right? Always watch what the competitors are doing. Always ask the customer what they want to see. I mean, in any business that I'm helping at the moment, I'm telling them, guys, do you know what the customer wants? Do you know your customer? And do you know what they want? If you don't know what they want, it's so simple. Just go and talk to them. Just go and talk to them. They are there. They are already your customers. All what you need to do is go and ask them, guys, what do you want? What do you want more? And just to emphasize on that, on what I just said, at Paragon, we had Au Bon Pain. I was also besides the Dunkin', I also was looking after Au Bon Pain. I was under one of the brands that we were looking after. And we had a location in the middle of the Paragon that we have reached a plateau. We have reached eventually a ceiling. We were worried because our sales were not growing up. And at the mall, the rent that you pay to the mall is a commission on your sales. So usually they ask you a commission on your sales. Now, if your sales reach a ceiling, their commission or their rent is not going to grow, right? And eventually they're going to tell you, well, it looks like your business is not improving, so I'm going to have to move you to a different location. We were in a prime location. And I was very worried, and the marketing team and the operation team and everybody was trying to think, how can we come up with better food, better product, better service, so the customer, we have more customer. And I said, wait a minute. Let's just go and talk to the customer in the shop. Now, when we built the store in Paragon, we thought that the customer wanted to have privacy. So, and the store was right in the middle of the public area. So it wasn't like an in-room store. It wasn't like a room. It was like an open area. And we decided to build a sort of a wall, like half a wall, so in the seating area, so at least people can have a little bit of privacy. When we went to talk to the customer directly, we asked them, guys, what can we do to improve, whatever we are offering you here, services, product, or whatever it is? Well, the customer, this is what they told us. They said, look, we like the food, the service is fine, it's not, but can you take out that wall? Because we want to see people walking and we want to be seen. So see and be seen. That's what they wanted. That's why they didn't want to come and sit there anymore, because they were hidden by the wall. So I said, okay, let's take out the wall. We took out the wall, business went up by 25%. Again, what I'm trying to tell you here, know your competitors, know your customers, and keep the communication with your customer to find out what they want ongoing all the time. So as a house of brand, from a company that was on the verge of bankruptcy, we had Dunkin' and Au Bon Pain, two brands. So we ended up with Baskin Robbins. We created another brand called M Kitchen. We bought the brand Greyhound Original and Greyhound Cafe. And then eventually we start developing our business in France. And I went to France and we acquired a 2-star Michelin hotel, a restaurant, a 2-star Michelin restaurant. And we did a partnership with the chef and owner of that restaurant. So we continue developing more restaurants with him. What I mean by developing is like merger and acquisition. Instead of wasting time in developing a new concept, just acquire a restaurant that is popular, buy it, run it for 5 years, resell it again after 5 years, because when you resell it, you're going to make also a lot of money, right? So the question in France, and this is my last slides, do Michelin star restaurants make money? No, they don't. I can tell you now they don't make money. The reason is there are too many conditions. when you want to become, when you apply to get the stars, it's very prestigious and very nice. And there is a niche market of people who'd love to go in a Michelin star restaurant because they know that the food is going to be great, but also they know that it's going to be very expensive. So you know that you're dealing with a niche market. You're not making money because they have too many rules, too many conditions. This is a restaurant that has only 60 seats, right? It's a beautiful. If you have been to Paris, it's it's right. It's located on the garden of the palace, the royal palace, which is not far from the Louvre. And there's the royal palace there, the old royal palace, obviously. And there are beautiful gardens over there of the palace. And that restaurant is located right overlooking the gardens of the palace. Beautiful restaurant. But we were not able, because of the Michelin star, very strict policies and conditions. There were many things that we wanted to do that we couldn't do. Now, what we decided, and thanks to COVID-19, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm saying thanks, but we decided to get rid of the Michelin star during COVID-19 because we knew, because the restaurant was only inside, there were only 60 seats. We had 50 staff for 60-seat restaurant, right? Which didn't make sense at all, but it made sense for the Michelin star people. So we got rid of the stars. We decided, hey, we don't want to be a Michelin star anymore. We added seats on the outdoor. We went and make a deal with the landlords of the place. We added 120 seats. And the restaurant, and I'm not kidding you, I'm not lying to you, this restaurant is making an average of 20,000 euros per day. 20,000 euros per day. Because a lot of French people who wanted to go to a Michelin, they've never been to a Michelin star restaurant. It became now a destination, like a tourist destination for French people, a French tourist destination that they want to go, because this is a 300-year-old restaurant. It's called Le Grand Véfour. This is the restaurant where Napoleon Bonaparte asked Josephine in marriage. He proposed to her in that restaurant. Right, and we kept, you go in, the seats and the tables are, they have the name of famous people that have been to the restaurant for 300 years. Now, we were very fortunate to buy it, that company, you know, to buy it. We own it. I think if one day we want to resell it, we can make a lot of money of it. That was a great decision, and the best decision was to get rid of the Michelin star. And that's my story, guys. So I would love to hear or to have questions. If you have, that would be really great. Any question that you have about the presentation today?
Yes, actually, I got some question like, what is the biggest difference about running a hotel and retail business? I mean, the biggest difference.
Oh, great question. Thank you. Look, I'm glad you asked this question. Hotel business, you know what? I wouldn't encourage, I went to hotel business school. I worked in hotel for 20 years. And I can tell you that hotel business is a very conservative business. The hotel business, everything is in one block, right? And it's like a pyramid. The structure is like a pyramid. And everybody in the hotel business, it's like the general manager is God, and he has to approve everything, right? So it's okay. I mean, that's the way it is. It's the culture of a hotel business. But then when you talk about retail, the structure of a retail is very much flat, because you need to have leaders who make decisions. You have no time to come and sit down. You have no time to have leaders who's going to come and ask you everything. And can I do this? Can I do that? Can I have your approval to do this or to do that? In the retail business, if I have executives who's going to come and ask me this, I'm going to tell them, guys, you're not made for retail business, because I need leaders who are going to tell me what to do. Don't ask me what should be done. That is retail business. But in the hotel business, is tell me what to do before you do it. That's the difference.
Oh, I see. So do you prefer a retail business or like hotel business now?
I love retail. Look, I worked in hotel business for many years, but when I discovered retail business, I said, oh my God, I should have been in retail instead. Much more fun, much more vibrant, very fast business. You have to take decisions very quickly. And I love the, the marketing research and the unknowns. I love the unknowns. That's what I love about the business. It's like knowing that there are unknowns out there, meaning that there are still a lot of opportunities, to come up with business, right?
Yes, and I'm just curious, how much time did you take from changing a like operational mind to a creative mind? Because the mind is so different. Like,
Oh my God, these are really great questions, Cotton.
thank you.
Actually, it took me 1 year to adapt. It took me 1 year to adapt to the retail business. I was still thinking, I was still thinking like a hotel person. And every time I wanted to do something, I went to the CEO of the company and I asked him, hey, look, can I do this? And he looked at me. He said, well, do it, right? And if it's the wrong decision, you will know about it, you learn about it, and life goes on. But stop coming to me and asking me if you can do this or you can do that. It took me 1 year to adapt.
Oh, I see. So, do other people have any question, like for Mr. Nadim? If not, can we do a poll? Please click the link that I sent to the chat. So, like, it's a survey about this webinar. And thank you so much. Yes, thanks so much for the inspirational sharing from Mr. Nadim. And it was really, really amazing to know all the unknowns, like, and also very tricky marketing strategy. I have learned so much today.
You can work in retail business now.
Yes, actually, I studied hospitality management for my major degree at the university.
I studied too.
Now I think I should change my mind too.
Yeah, retail business is much more fun.
But have you ever thought of that, like your first job is not related to business? Will it be different? Like your first job is retail business?
Look, the reason why I got into the hotel business because my father was in the hotel business, and when I left home to come here to Thailand, he was in the hotel business here, and actually he's the one who encouraged me to see, because at that time my father was traveling all the time, and he loved it. He loved it because he had the opportunity to travel in many places. Well, I did too. I did travel in many places and many locations that people didn't even heard about. I was able to do that.
Like for example?
The Cook Islands. Have you been to the Cook Islands?
I haven't. Is it in Thailand?
No. The Cook Islands is a country. It's in the South Pacific. It's in the South Pacific. And what I mentioned in my presentation is it was a very interesting experience over there, because I had to deal with people and their culture that I never knew before. And the culture over there is very different than anywhere around the world. I had to deal with weather that I wasn't even familiar with, like the hurricane. There was a hurricane season in the Cook Islands. The hurricane season, when you have the coconut tree, the wind is so strong that the coconut trees go down like 45 degrees, and it's dangerous because you have the coconuts that start flying around. And there was a hurricane season over there. And so many other things that I've learned from this place. I'm very grateful that I went to these places before it becomes very touristic. I went to New Zealand. I was in Germany. I went to East and West Germany. East Germany it's very, there's a lot of art over there. It's beautiful. It's kind of gray, but it's beautiful, but it's changing, I guess. So I had the opportunity to go and visit many countries because of the hotel business. That was the fun. I mean, that's the great thing about being in a hotel. Don't stay where you are if you are in the hotel business. Take assignments so you are able to travel. The best thing that can happen in your life is to go and learn about other people's culture, other people's culture.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr.
Great, guys.
Nadim.
Yes.
I also have a question. So basically, we've seen that in times of panic, the donut business seems to be doing well. And I just want to find out your opinion. And we know that during COVID pandemic, people try to stay more healthy. So I was wondering, I haven't seen any figures or so, but I was wondering if, in your opinion, do you think this will help the donut business in times of panic again, or will it adversely affect the sales of
Well, I can tell you one thing, that during the COVID, the reason why I decided to retire from the company, because I reached a point, and we built the company with several brands. That company went public, and we were doing great figures. But COVID has destroyed all this. COVID has really destroyed all this, and COVID has brought a new unknown for us, that we needed to discover something new to survive, right? In the COVID business. And delivery was the answer for survival. That's one of the things. Now, the health part, I'm not so sure, because, the way I see the health business, and seriously, I'm not being disrespectful here, but it's a little bit like show off. It's a little bit like following a trend. And now it's a global trend. I mean, it's happening everywhere. Everybody is concerned about health, but they may not understand it very well, right? So there is a lot of educating to be done. When you work with health food or anything like that, you really have to educate your people, right? Or your customers. It's a lot about education, because I don't know they are very much aware. At Au Bon Pain, we were promoting trans fat-free product for 10 years. The customer did not understand what it meant. They thought that, oh, if I eat more of your food, that means I'm not going to get fat. But that is not the case. Trans fat it's product that is not going to build the cholesterol level in your blood. That's the meaning when you have trans fat free. But a lot of people did not get it, right? And today in the market, you have vegan food, you have, so many things that people want to go into, because it is becoming a trend in the global market. And it is something that you have to do, right? You have to do. But there is always room for a donut. There's always room for a sweet tooth. And the Thai people have a sweet tooth, and the donut business is always going to do well here. It's doing well. So to what happened in COVID, Dunkin' Donut is the only company that was able to generate positive cash flow, and the whole company was able to survive because of Dunkin' Donut. Au Bon Pain did not, Greyhound did not. All the other restaurants that we had were losing money. The business was down. The delivery business was not as much as we thought it would be, but the donut business kept on going very strong. I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh, yes, that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have an add-on question? So it is the responsibility of the company to educate the consumer. Am I right?
I think you better, because it's good for business. Starbucks, the strategy for Starbucks when they enter a country, the first thing to do is to build the coffee culture. And to build the coffee culture, that means you have to educate the people. And that's why at the beginning, when Starbucks came in, and they continue doing it, they do all these coffee tastings in the store. So at the beginning, when we first opened, we had like 3 or 4 times a day. The staff came out with a press. They did a coffee tasting. They served, they gave it to the people who are sitting there, and they were talking about coffee. All what we do is talk coffee and tell them how beautiful it is and where the beans come from. And we have beans coming from South America, and we have beans coming from Africa, and we have other beans coming from Indonesia. And what is the difference between the beans, and why this bean, why this coffee tastes more acidity, why this coffee has more body, and all these words and technical words that people wanted to learn more about it. So that's how you build the coffee culture. And that's why they are so successful today. And nobody was able to beat them, because Starbucks is not only about selling coffee, it's everything. It's 360 degrees when you enter the store. Is the smell, is the look, is, how do you say that? It's the, it has to do with the senses, you know, it's sensory marketing as well. It's like when you open a business, it's all about the smell, the taste, the what you see, what you hear, you know. And Starbucks did a great job on that. That covers all the sensory, all the sense, the senses, like, you know, your ears, your eyes, your nose, your smell, whatever it is. They did a fantastic job, and that was part of the educating as well. So it's important to educate the people about your business.
But like other coffee brands, they also like take years to copy from Starbucks. Why they cannot do such a good job? Like,
yeah, they are not able to do, because they are not as detailed and they don't think like Starbucks. A lot of people are copycats, and that's fine, but there will always be a differentiation. So in any business that you're doing, and when I talk to my clients, whenever we come up with a promotion or whenever we come up with something new or product development, please do not do what everybody else does in the market. You have to have this differentiation that the customer is going to feel, if I go there, there is something different that you cannot find anywhere else. So you got to create that differentiation. And today, more than ever, it is becoming more challenging to come up with all this differentiation. But I can see, when you surf the web and you saw, there are tons of ideas that are coming out in the market that are just incredible, right? People are becoming so creative.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So if we don't have other questions, I think the
next time I will talk more on my presentation. I thought I would have a lot of questions today. Unfortunately not.
Thank you so much. So I think this is the end of our webinar. So thank you so much for joining us today, and have a good night.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadim. It was great.
Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
And thank you, Mr. Nadim. This is Monir.
Thank you, Moni.
Yeah.
How's business? How's business?
Business is good. Last 1 year, we are recovering.
Good.
And we see the growth prospect. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. It's the time.
And we reform our company, or organization structure. We made single CEO, and